Alright guys, the video you guys have all been waiting for, Megatron 2.0. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Michael. Super glad to have you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, guys, and that notification bell. So anytime that I make a new video, you guys are aware of that and you guys could check it out. And if you like this video, guys, hit that like button. It really helps me out and I appreciate it. And if you dislike this video, go ahead and hit that dislike button, guys. So, Megatron 2.0, it's finally done. It's the video y'all been waiting for. I appreciate you guys being patient. I know I haven't made a video in months. My summer has been completely bonkers. I appreciate all you guys that have supported me up until this point and have been very patient and waiting for this video. So thank you very much. Before we talk about the changes from Megatron 1.0 to 2.0, let me go ahead and roll some B-roll. I'm excited to give you guys a closer look at this thing. So let's check it out. Alright guys, I hope you guys like that B-roll. I hope you guys love Megatron 2.0. I think it came out pretty awesome. It was probably one of the biggest pains in the butt in any water cooling build I have ever done. There was a lot of issues, some my fault, some not. But before we jump into them, let me talk about some of the changes going from Megatron 1.0 to 2.0. So for me, one of the biggest changes is I pulled out EKWB's distro plate and we did go ahead and replace it with EKWB's reflection plate, which does take up the whole front of the Lian Li OD11 Dynamic XL case. I think it looks much better. It's more aesthetically pleasing to me, and I really like it. It is in the expensive side at about $300 and something if I remember correctly. But in my personal opinion, that piece is definitely worth the money. It does come with one of my favorite things, the DDC 5.1 pump. So that's awesome. No more pump issues like with the EKWB distro plate with the 3.1 pump. And if you guys see my videos in the past about that, I'm so glad that that's over and I don't have to deal with that anymore. As you guys also saw from the B-roll, I did put a 7-inch Raspberry Pi screen in the back of the Lian Li case, and I did put an AIDA64 sensor panel in there. I really like the way that it looks. Now, honestly, it's a little bit impractical because it's hard to kind of see being in the back of the case. If I was going to do it again, I would go ahead and put it in the front of the case, probably the bottom left here where the radiator is. Just because the way I have the PC positioned on my desk, I'd be better. It would be at a better viewing angle, and the panel's viewing angles kind of suck, so you can't really see it if you're looking at an angle. But I think it looks cool in there. It was a nice new feature. So. Also, as you guys saw with the piece of glass, I did go ahead and etch Megatron in the Megatron font on the front of the glass, and I did do a little cool Decepticon symbol. So I like that. I think that's pretty neat. Now, I did go ahead and swap out the CPU blocks. As you can see here, I did buy EKWB's Ryzen Special Edition CPU block, but I was having some really strange issues with it. My temperatures were all over the place. My idle temps on the 5950X were anywhere from like 40 to 55 Celsius, and I never had that issue with the previous block. I know what you guys are thinking, like maybe it wasn't screwed down tight enough, maybe there was something wrong with the thermal paste. when I get into the issues and tell you guys the issues that I did have to drain the whole entire thing. So when I did that, I did reseat the CPU block, and I did put new thermal paste in and all that good stuff, and I was still having the same issues. So I ended up going back to EKWB's Velocity Series block, and now my idle temps on the 5950X are anywhere from 30 to 33 Celsius, and at max flow they don't break 60 Celsius, which is amazing for the 5950X. I read a lot of people at full load, they're at like 90 C, or they're idling at like 55 Celsius. So I'm super happy with my temperatures. My idle temps in here are a little high at the moment because the ambient temperature in the room is pretty high. I'm having some problems with my AC, so they're in the mid to high 30s at the moment. But all in all, I love the way that the build came out. Now, I did go ahead and replace the bottom radiator. We did have in Megatron 1.0, we were running two Hardware Labs GTS Black Nemesis Edition rads. They're their slim versions. We had one on the top and one on the bottom, but I wanted to do a thicker rad, so I ended up replacing the bottom radiator with EKWB's XE series. They're 360 millimeter radiator that's 60 millimeters thick. It takes up a lot more space in the bottom, and I think it looks a lot better. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. The GPU is in horizontal, not vertical. I know I promised you guys to show you the difference between the vertical position and the horizontal position, but when the bracket came in to be able to mount it vertically, it was bent, and I just didn't have enough time to get a new one and redo all that. I did hold it up in there vertical, and I could promise you guys for this build here, it looks a lot better in the horizontal position. The vertical position was not going to work. So also, what else did we change? The fittings. Now, in Megatron 1.0, we were using the bite ski fittings, which I absolutely love, and I rave about them all the time. I decided to go with EKWB's fittings, okay, and I ended up going with their black nickel, which I think look really, really good. They really offset the chrome tubes, and I don't know, all in all, it's fantastic. I did keep the same cables from N-Source. I didn't change anything there. I did have an issue. One of the cable combs broke on the 24 pin, and I didn't get a chance to fix that. We are running 9 fans in Megatron 2.0, and in my previous video before this one, excuse me, I bought some PMW splitters so I could split them off of the back of the Commander Pro that is controlling all these fans. So we got 3 in the bottom, 3 in the back, 3 on the top. And I haven't had any, I haven't had any issues there with power fluctuations, I can't even say power fluctuations or anything like that. So everything came out really, really well. I really like it. I'm super pleased with the build. Now let's talk about some of the issues. So when I bought all EKWB's fittings, when they all came in, I had a bunch of EKW fittings that were chipped. They were scratched, they were chipped, and I was really, really disappointed in the quality. And I'm going to make a whole entire separate video on the issues I had with them and their customer service because I'm not very happy. I never really have a problem with EKWB. Their quality is always really, really good. But when I'm going to go ahead and compare the quality of fittings that I got this time around with their black nickel compared to the fittings that I got that were bite ski, it's night and day difference. I hardly had any issues or scratches or anything with the bite ski fittings. So I had some issues there with the fittings, and I got a hold of EKWB, and they weren't much help. The second huge issue was, you guys know from a previous video of mine, I use EKWB's cryo fuel. Their clear premix. That's what was in Megatron 1.0, and that's what I was using in Megatron 2.0. So when I had everything put together and I started to fill up the distro plate, once I put it in there, it left a white film that like stained the acrylic inside the front reflection plate. I was so irritated at that. I got a hold of EKWB, and their response literally was to me, "Sorry about that. You have to take it out. Take out 9 million Allen screws and scrub it and then put it back in." Which, you know, I just find that to be really crappy customer service. You know, in a lot of other places, you know, they'd be like, okay, we'll send you out another one. You have 30 days to return the other one, blah, blah, blah. Because, you know, anybody that builds water-cooled PCs, it's beyond a royal pain to take everything apart. And there's not much room in here. Once you get the reflection plate goes in super tight, and then to get all the other pieces in, it's kind of a real pain in the butt. So just to take it all out, and then I have to clean it for a mistake that's not mine. To me, that's just not very good customer service. So that issue was a big one. Also, anytime that I buy fittings, I buy extra O-rings because you never know when you might need one. So I wasn't really organized when I was putting all this together, and I had a bunch of O-rings laying out on my table here. And at the end of the build, when everything was nice and tight, I noticed that I had an O-ring sitting here on my desk. And of course, because I didn't want to take everything apart, I'm like, well, it's got to be one of the extra O-rings, right? It can't be from one of the fittings. Well, I filled up the loop, and I wasn't going to do anything right away, even though it had that film in there. I wasn't going to drain it all immediately because it was just kind of irritated. I want to make sure that everything was running and there was no leaks. I filled it up, turned everything on. There wasn't any leaks. I went out to work the following day. I came home, and there was water leaking out from around the top of the GPU fitting. So I'm like, yep, that must have been what the O-ring was. So then I had to drain the whole entire loop, and then I'm like, you know what? Why I'm doing it, I might as well go ahead and scrub the reflection plate, which took 900 years to take all the Allen screws out. Now, any of you guys know working with acrylic, when you just look at acrylic, it just seems to scratch just by staring at it. It scratches so easy. So there's some scratches on the front of the reflection plate from just taking all the screws off, and again, probably from just looking at it. And then I found and I replaced that fitting there, so I put everything back together. And instead of using the premix from EKWB this time, I decided just to use distilled water. I'll just drain my loop more often, but I didn't want to end up running into the same problem as before and having it stain. And I wasn't even able to get out all the stains that were in there from when I first filled it. I don't know, I scrubbed it really, really hard, and there's still a few marks here and there. Very frustrated with that. I don't know why it happened. When I put the premix in Megatron 1.0, there was no issues there. So, but all in all though, even through all the issues, I think it came out amazing. Now, one thing I want to let you guys know, the EKWB reflection plate for the front of the Lian Li OD11 dynamic case, it doesn't line up exactly with especially your GPU runs. So I had to get these EKWB offset rotary fittings, which I think they're the only company that makes these, and I'm definitely gonna, kudos to them for these fittings, because without them, it was gonna be a real problem trying to get the GPU runs to be perfectly straight and square. So, I mean, I guess I could have, if they didn't have these, I could have bought some dual or triple rotary fittings. But these, to me, make the build look a lot cleaner than it would be if I had some snake coming off of the reflection plate on the top and bottom. So, I did have to use 4 of those, 2 for the GPU and 2 for the bottom radiator. Now, they are a little on the expensive side, anywhere from like $12 to $14. I can't remember the exact price, but definitely worth it. And if you're somebody out there that's going to be building with the EKWB reflection plate, just keep in mind that the runs are not going to match up perfectly with the inlets on the reflection plate. You are going to need some offset rotary fittings for that. And I will post a link down in the description below to do all these parts. So, but there she is, guys. I hope you like the changes that I made. Post it in the comments below and let me know, what you think. If you like the thicker rad on the bottom, if you think it looked better with the Hardware Labs GTS 360 rad. My personal opinion, I love the reflection plate in the front. I think it makes the build look a lot cleaner. I love the thicker radiator on the bottom with the fans underneath instead of on the top. I think it makes the whole build look a lot cleaner. And I think before there was too much empty space in the bottom. I had some comments on the Megatron 1.0 build about there being too much space there, and people would have liked to see a thicker rad there, and they were right. It does look a lot better with a thicker radiator on the bottom. So I probably forgot some stuff, but I really wanted to get this video up and out to you guys today. You guys have been waiting a long time. So here it is. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to make a video next week, and I want to show you guys what my gaming setup is. I did add another monitor to my gaming setup, and I have it vertically above my other monitor, and I really like the setup, and I want to share that with you guys and talk a little bit about the monitors that I'm running. So, but that's all I got for today, guys. Please post down in the comments below. Let me know what you think of Megatron 2.0. I would really appreciate it. And that's all I got. So as always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.